Okay, let's look at how this computer is connected to the internet. Under our internet connections, we can see various connections and the one that is active now. And it can show the properties of that. Let's click on that. It is a TP-Link router. And if you scroll down here, you can see all kinds of interesting information. And some of this is going to be useful to us. And there's a copy button down here, so let's just copy that and paste it over here into a regular notepad document. Now, we're not going to use all this information, but some of it is helpful. First is, what's the name of our router here? It's a Qualcomm Atheros wireless network adapter number 2. So I'm just going to copy that and save it here. It's a little bit long name, so let me stretch this out so that we can see it all in one line. But look down here at the bottom, we have a physical address of this computer, the MAC address. I'll need that. And here's our IP4 address, but note that it starts with 192.168 as usual, but it ends in 102. That tells me it's probably a dynamically assigned IP4 address. We're going to have to change that later to a static one, but let's just write that down for now. Save that. And let's see, what else do we have here? I have the DNS servers. But even though it's servers plural, it's only giving me one number. So that's a little bit suspicious. It's not the real DNS servers. But it is a very helpful number because this is telling me that I'm getting my DNS or domain name service from the router. And that means that this is actually my gateway to the router or the address to my router from this computer. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go into Google Chrome and just paste it in there. When I hit enter, you're going to get the logon tool for your router. Now, if you don't know the username and password, it's probably admin. But you're going to have to change that later for security. Now, inside here, sorry that this is all in Russian, but it's pretty easy to understand. For example, in the local area network setting, it says Maska Podsieti. Maska. Well, this is the mask here, subnet mask. So let me save that. And under wider area network, note that it has an IP address, and it's not a 192. So this is telling us it's the IP address of our router. It's really connected to the internet. And here's our DNS servers, and here now finally it's giving us two numbers. This is the true DNS servers, number 1 and number 2 here. So we're going to save that. And this old number that it had, it's right here. You see, IP address of the local network, 192.168.01. In reality, that's not the IP address of the computer. It's how the computer is finding the router. So we're going to put that under gateway, the gateway to the router. But what about the public IP address? I can get that. Just go to the internet and type my IP. And Google says that my IP address is this one. So my public address is that, my router address is that, and lo and behold, they're the same. That's really good. What that means is that yes, I can make this computer into a game server on the internet that's accessible to everyone. Very good news. But let's go back to the problem of the dynamically assigned or first come first serve IP address. Let's go back to our router page here and look for this DHCP server. And you'll notice that this is set up to dynamically issue numbers between 100 and 199 on a first come first served basis. Well, I don't want that. I want to reserve an address. So there's a section here to do that. And I need my physical address of my computer. I'll type that. So this exact computer will reserve this address. And the first part of it's going to look the same, 192.168.0, and I'm going to put a high number here. I'll put something like 201. We'll start at 200. I could put 201 for this one. I could put 202 for another one. Each computer that's going to be able to be locatable from the internet, it has to have a unique number. So we save that, and notice you will see a message that says that you have to reboot your router after you do that. So you click that and wait for your router to reboot. And now this router thinks that my computer is connected on a different IP address. So I need to go back to the settings, to the control panel, and look for this, Ethernet, and change adapter options. And this gives me my list of different options, and here's where I need to know what's the name of the router. So this is the Qualcomm Atheros router. All right. So I'm going to right click on that and go down here to properties, and there's a whole bunch of information here. We're only interested in the IP4 address part of this, so it's right here in this list. See this IP4 setting right here? And if you double click on that, you can see that it is obtaining the address automatically. Well, it's not anymore. We changed it to a static address. And so I'm going to need to type in the exact static address that I created in my router settings. So I'm going to click here on use the following address. And notice the information here. I got DNS server, I need my default gateway, I need my subnet mask, all this information. So back here, up here in the IP address, I'm going to type exactly the same one that I created in the reserved address of the router settings, 192.168.0 and 202. And your subnet mask, copy that. Your default gateway, you copy that. That was the way that we get from this computer into the router. And your DNS servers. Let me just go over here and copy them because I don't remember them. And copy both of those. So now you see why we needed all of that information. Now, when you're done copying all those numbers, let's make sure this is validate is set on. And when we click OK on that, your computer is going to run diagnostics on it, just like it checks for any other problems. And if it doesn't find a problem, that's good. Detecting problems, troubleshooter couldn't identify a problem, we're good. So what we ended up with was this IP4 address is now it's a static. We set it to 192.168.0.202. And our IP4 address for the router is actually the public address. Now, that's just how static it is. That's another question.